All right, so it's the night before a trip. I'm going to take a trip to a smaller casino tomorrow. And at this particular casino, they have very low limits. And the main reason I'm doing this is to show people who are maybe just getting started out how your first trip might typically go. So I've already run the simulation, and that's what this is here. So I'm using a $25,000 bankroll for the total bankroll. That's probably, that's way more than you need for starting out. Let's just change that actually while I'm talking here. Let's actually make it even 10,000. Let's just see what that does there. Okay, so that might be a little bit more realistic, because the reason I'm changing that is, let's say you have $10,000, you could actually do this. I have quite a bit more. That's why you saw the 25,000. I'm only bringing 1,500 with me anyway for the trip. And when I say low limits, the maximum you could bet at this particular table at this particular casino is $100. Now I'm going to play there anyway. I should be able to make a little bit of money and show you guys how it might be when you first start out. Normally wouldn't play these low limits, but minimum bet's going to be 10. That's what you're seeing here. Maximum bet's going to be 100. So it's a double deck game. I'm assuming there's going to be 3 players. These are the rules. Dealer hits soft 17. That's what that means. Double after split is allowed. So if you split, you can then double. And then this is the penetration. They deal about a deck and a quarter out of 2 decks. Not great, but at least it's better than 50%. It's about 62%. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play every single hand. You can't wong in on a double deck. At this place you actually could, but you'd be spotted as a card counter for sure. So I'm going to bet 10 until the count gets to at least 2. When the count gets to 2, I'm going to bet 25. And these are true counts that I'm talking about. I'm not going to go through what all that means, but 2 is 25, 3, true count, 50, 4, 75, 5, 100. And then I'm going to stay at 100. That's my max bet. So based on these parameters, I should, if you look at the custom line here, average about $17.58 an hour. I have 2.7% risk of ruin, which means there's a 2.7% chance that if I played this for unlimited amount of time, I could lose the entire 10,000. So that's an acceptable amount of risk for someone just getting started out. We'd like to see that under 1%. And then, so if you had a $15,000 bankroll, for example, you could get that under 1%, 0.4%. So that would probably be ideal, maybe. Now, if I play for 8 hours, my average expected win would be 141. And generally, the results are going to fall within these 2 standard deviation range here. This middle one here is this is 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviations. Hopefully you can see where my little arrow is pointing. And 3 standard deviations. 3 standard deviations would take into consideration 99.7% of all possible results. I don't worry about that. I look more at this 95% here. That's 95% of everything that could possibly happen. The most I could lose is just under 1,600. The most I could win would be just over 1,800. All right, so now that I have that all set up, the next thing that I would do is I would switch to the practice software, which I have right over here. So I finally get out of that. Casino Verite Blackjack. And load this up and practice what I just set up there. So I would set up my bets. I can set up my camouflage. I've already done that. And then I would start to bet now. And what I'm going to do there is I'm actually going to start off with, instead of a $10 bet, I'm going to start off with a $25 bet. And that's just so that I don't look like a card counter. Okay, so I have 20 gets a 6. Okay, and what this software does for you is it's going to keep the count along with you, and you can check at any time to see what the count is. So obviously, from the cards that I'm seeing, I don't know what these cards are. They deal them face down in a double deck game. From the cards that I'm seeing, we have a -1 count. Now, this is not a tutorial on counting, so I'm going to go through how I know that, but many of you already know that. And then I can check to see if I'm right. I would check over here, and here we go, running count -1. So you can do that at any point in the game. You can see if you're accurate. And that's the main reason why you want to practice. It doesn't matter whether you're winning or losing when you're practicing. What matters is, are you accurate on your counting? And are you accurate on your playing? And what's cool about this software is if I make a mistake, if I do something stupid, like let's say, obviously with a negative count, you would never split these. I don't believe in splitting them anyway, but obviously, in a super high count, it would make sense to do that. But let's say I decided to split these. It's going to obviously tell me that I made a mistake, but it will let me split them anyway. And so just for fun, let's say I split them. Now, I always say if you split them once, you should split them again, but obviously it'll tell me that's an error again. So let's say we're going to play this one right. We're going to stand here, and it's going to be another one 16 against 16. Obviously I'm going to stand here, and actually won both hands in this particular case. Doesn't mean that I did the right thing, obviously, but that's just how it worked out. Okay, so anyway, did that mostly for fun, but then I would continue to play it straight. The count is obviously not good enough at this point to bet more, so now I ban my camouflage. I go into my standard $10 bet and deal the cards and continue to practice. Beautiful. I've got a 11 against a 2. Obviously, I'm going to double down. It will let me do that. I get 21, and the dealer busts. All right. So just to give you an idea here real quick, this is how I prepare ahead of time before I go out. Now you can also, there's also a lot of other cool things with this software that you can do before you go out and hit the casino, and I recommend doing all these. I like to do my drills the old-fashioned way personally, with just the regular deck cards, but there are drills in here, and you can actually go in here and do, for example, counting drills. Okay, so if I go to this, I can set in, I'm doing running count, or whatever kind of count I want to use. Obviously running count makes the most sense. You can set up how many cards. Basically you set up all these parameters, and then I don't even know how this is set up. It's been a while since I did this because, like I said, I always just do the old-fashioned. But the way this works basically is it's going to show you a set of cards, and you have to figure out what that count is. Okay, so obviously 1 in that case, and then we're doing running count. So it stays at 1 because I use the high opt 1. You don't count the aces. Okay, now we're at 0. It keeps going like this. Okay, so, and you see if you're accurate or not, and how fast you can do it. Okay, so that's the key, is how quickly can you do this, and it's going to time you when you get done. Okay, so and keep going through here, and you see how good you are. Okay, obviously I can go a lot faster than this, but I'm looking at the, oh, look at that, -2. I went the wrong way. I counted up instead of down. Alright, so that's just to show you what happens when you make a mistake. There's the -2. You click on that and you keep going. Alright, so it's going to count that over here in your accuracy. 93% now I'm only at. Alright, and here's my timer. Alright, wasting a lot of time here talking, obviously. Okay, so now we go to -1, I think. Yep, and 0, 1, -2, -2, -3, -2. Don't count out loud when you're in the casino. -4, -5, -3. Okay, still at -3. You get the idea here. So, alright, and then it'll show you how you did. Okay, so I'm in the red for accuracy, even though I made that one mistake. It's allowing me to do that. I'm still 96% accurate, which is good as long as you're above 90%. But a little slow, obviously. With the talking and operating the recorder, I'm obviously quite slow. That should definitely be much faster. You want that at least around here, 40, I would say. So, alright. So, wish me luck tomorrow. I'll let you know. I'll come back with another video and let you know how I did in relation to the simulation that you saw earlier. And may the count be with you. And in this case, may the count be with me.